Hey, what's up guys, Aarava here, and welcome back to an episode of my F1 2019 Career Mode, episode number 36 today for the Italian Grand Prix in Season 2. If you guys did miss the previous one, the Belgium Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, especially so there was a major driver transfer in that episode, so you don't want to miss that one, and it was a pretty awesome race, a comeback race of sorts, obviously, for us, with a lot of engine penalties, but it means coming into Italy, we come here with a fresh engine, 3 new upgrades on the car. There's maybe some rain in qualifying, you can see there by the weather indicator, so it might be quite a tale of two halves in the weekend, just like it kind of was the case at the Belgium GP, just the other way around. The rain will come on Saturday rather than Sunday, but going into this weekend then, Renault continue their charge with their new lineup of Verstappen and Weber, and they make more upgrades to actually leap ahead and have the biggest gap to the next best team that anyone has in that in that entire fuel spread. Basically, you can see the gap from Renault to McLaren is bigger than pretty much the gap of combined McLaren, Alfa, Williams and Mercedes. And Mercedes going into this weekend with Hamilton the championship leader, Mercedes are the 5th best team on the grid now after not upgrading for the last 2 episodes. Williams have got ahead of them. You've got Haas and Racing Point ahead of Ferrari now. Red Bull are in the bottom 2 teams with Toro Rosso now, so the Honda power is not really coming through in the career mode, unlike maybe in real life. But yeah, it's all getting a little bit mad in terms of how everyone is doing. Obviously, it's not exact science. On track, things may change. We've seen already the McLaren's really not performing at the full potential they maybe should be, and Mercedes are still being mega with Hamilton and Bottas being so consistent, but it's all mixing up a little bit as we get on towards the kind of last third of this season now, after the summer break we had between Hungary and the Belgium GP. It's all getting mixed up rather a lot, and obviously it's just good for us, I think, like I said last episode, because it means, although yeah, maybe it's a less chance for me to get the big points, it's also less chance for Hamilton to get the big points, and so we can just slowly maybe chip away and get back into this title fight and try and actually catch him properly. We're yet to be under 30 points, I think, to him in the championship, so that'll be kind of nice to do this episode maybe, but it's the Italian GP, so I'm hoping maybe some of that Italian magic for the Alfa Romeo team can come through and we can get under the 30-point mark to Hamilton. But first and foremost, we have to see how we do on Saturday. There might be some rain to contend with, which might be tricky with a low downforce setup for the race, but nonetheless, it's the same for everyone. So let's get into this then and drive this car with some anger in front of those Italian fans.
Practice is all wrapped up as we move into qualifying here at the Autodromo di Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Any moment now, the teams will be heading out onto the track. I want to talk briefly about the strategy in these qualifying sessions. Anthony Davidson, how can a driver adjust their approach to gain those critical extra tenths of a second?
Well, qualifying isn't about adjusting your approach necessarily, it's more about trying to repeat a low fuel run that you've practiced prior to this session. You're looking for perfection on the lap, and that's hard to achieve if you're trying something new. There are some variables that can stand in your way, however. Track position or unexpected yellow flags, for example. Coupled with ever-changing track conditions, it's important to be out there at the right moment. But as a driver, you have to try and ignore these distractions and just keep your mind focused on that one perfect lap.
So the sun's out at the moment as we go into Q1 at the end of our flying lap, but the rain will definitely be coming down either at the end of Q2 or in Q3. So very much like the Hungarian GP actually qualifying, might have a very similar situation. So you never know. At Hungary, there were big, big 4 names: Verstappen, Hamilton, Raikkonen, Leclerc, that were out of Q2 with that rain coming down late. So let's see if anyone gets caught out this time. But Q1 will be a formality for us, and it's actually a really confidence-boosting Q1 with Alfa Romeo 1 and 2. Raikkonen beats me there to P1 in that session. Obviously, it doesn't really mean too much in the grand scheme of things, but it's always nice to be at the top of the timesheet, and it's maybe a very good omen for the weekend to come to start off the first kind of competitive session with a 1-2 there for the team. But we go into Q2 now. You can see a lot more overcast. Verstappen now is flexing his muscles a little bit out front with the fastest lap of the session so far, and you can see it's getting darker and darker actually as we just transition through this one lap, so definitely the rain will be coming. I don't think it'll be coming in Q2 actually. It might just wait till Q3, so we might not actually see any shock kind of outings really, but you never know, maybe the track conditions change and the track gets a little bit colder. It might change some things for a few teams as we go very wide at Parabolica, lose some time ahead of having to lift off, and so we don't get any sort of warning there. Across the line, and it'll be P1 though still, as our car goes very quickly. I don't know what on earth the pace was there for us, but just came out of nowhere. Raikkonen P7, the 2 McLarens unfortunately unfortunately a little bit slow there, so one of them gets knocked out, but the two Renaults in, and as you would imagine, the two Mercedes also making it along with the Ferraris, not doing too bad, even though they're down the order. But as we move into Q3 then, the very start of this session, you can see the rain is coming down, indicating in 5 minutes, but as we go out on our flying lap, actually the rain's coming down straight away, so everyone will not get a full dry lap in. Everyone will have to contend with these damp conditions, but right now this will be the fastest point of the entire session right now, is this kind of damp track where the rain's not fully settled on the ground yet, so it's not quite intermediate, but it's also on the cusp of it, so it's going to be a very tricky lap. Every brake zone will be extended a little bit, and the traction will be a little bit poor as we barrel down into turn 1, overtake mode engaged, trying to abuse the engine power on the straights, because I know we're going to kind of lose some pace in every single corner, and you can see very gingerly through turns 1 and 2, and on the exit the traction just doesn't want to get down rapidly there as we got the gears, but like I said, just trying to use the engine mode once again, overtake mode every single straight, trying to make up that time at the moment. Then Sebastian Vettel goes in and sets the fastest lap of the session so far. Everyone, this will be their one and only lap here, so at the moment Vettel is in a legit provisional pole position as it stands here. We've got a few cars ahead of us setting lap times as we go down the order to P7, yet to set a lap time, of course, though, as we go through the last corner, then Parabolica. Let's see how it goes, trying to get the power down as early as we can on the exit. Lucas Weber now sets the provisional pole lap time in the Renault. We go across the line. What will it be? It's a pretty underwhelming P6 there behind Nico Hulkenberg in the Racing Point car. Very surprising there, but at least the good thing is, as we go to the end of the session, Lewis Hamilton comes in P7 behind us. We split the two Mercs in terms of, actually, well, not split them, we sandwiched them, myself and Raikkonen P6 and P9, Hamilton, Bottas P7 and 8, but it's Lucas Weber, the man who won the last Grand Prix, bringing momentum into this weekend on pole position in the Renault. Vettel, Leclerc, then Verstappen does pretty well in P4. Hulkenberg, though, that's a pretty impressive lap time there for him in P5, the Racing Point car, and then Lando Norris in P10. So we've got a bit of a mixed up grid. Good stuff for Hamilton to be behind us, and you never know, with the F1 game, the slipstream, the race is always going to be quite hectic. So I think we still have a very good chance of getting on the podium and having a very good result. So let's go to Sunday and see how we do.
The Italians love their cars and they love their racing. And of course, they love it here at Monza. Home race for Ferrari, of course, who've had 18 wins here since 1950. But you know, there's not been so much luck for the locals in the cockpit recently. The last Italian driver to win this race was back in 1966. So what now? I think it's time to make some more history here today. We're 12 miles northeast of Milan for today's Grand Prix at a Monza circuit where we can expect top speeds of around 215 miles per hour. 11 corners on this 3.6 mile track, with 7 of those coming in the form of chicanes, and with a good slipstream and DRS open, there should be plenty of opportunity for some passing here today. Alongside me once again for coverage of today's race, it's none other than the great Anthony Davidson. Let's start proceedings by talking about Lucas Weber. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
Everyone has to deal with penalties or reliability issues from time to time throughout their career. You just have to suck up the pain and get on with the job at hand. Today isn't about performing a miracle to put the car back where it should be, it's about effective damage limitation.
Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. Sebastian Vettel will start on pole. Fantastic qualifying from the multiple world champion. And it's Charles Leclerc in P2. Looking down the rest of the grid, we have Verstappen, Hulkenberg, the engineer, and Faber, Hamilton, Bottas, Raikkonen, and Lando Norris, Perez, Ricciardo, Devon Butler, and Magnussen. Stroll, Gasly, Alexander Albon, and Antonio Giovinazzi, Grosjean, and George Russell ends our grid lineup. Now it's almost time to lights out, so let's go down to the track.
Right, so it was glory for Weber yesterday for pole position, but he has some engine penalties that promotes both Ferraris up into the front row then. So it's a 1-2 for Ferrari at the Italian Grand Prix. I'm not saying anything, but it's, quite convenient how Weber got a penalty there to make that happen. But we'll move on as we go onto the grid then. So we're up 1 position because Weber actually had enough penalties to get behind us by 1 position. So he's actually on the same row as us there, my former F2 teammate. The strategy will be a one-stop, as you would imagine. Monza, not too abrasive on the track surface. surface, so softer to the mediums. And like I said, from here now, we're actually 2 positions ahead of Hamilton. So let's go out there, get some good points on Lewis, and try and see if we can even bag a podium here at the Italian GP as we go to 5 red lights at Monza. 4 lights are out, and we're underway, and it's a pretty slow start for us. Actually, there's Hulkenberg shoots off there, and really the rest of the top 5, actually. And Weber also gets me the run down to turn 1. Tricky trying to block off the Mercedes cars of Hamilton and Bottas. Back down the inside of Lucas on the outside for turn 2. He's hopped the bump and the curb a little bit, so it's a drag race now as we both plant the power down pretty much at the same time, roughly. A little bit of contact made, and we're getting very frosty indeed, actually. No love lost between us as Bottas is ahead of Hamilton, which is good news for me. Up ahead, meanwhile, you've got some scrapping away between Verstappen, Vettel. I think it's Leclerc, sorry. Vettel's actually in the lead this Grand Prix, and he's pulling away. Leclerc just managed to get keep in second place, and Verstappen has to slot in for third, and Hulkenberg close behind, still doing a great job on this opening lap here. But Vettel's already sort of checked out this Grand Prix then, with about a second gap to his teammate there, so hopefully he doesn't get away too much there. I'm actually quite surprised here. Again, the Ferraris, despite going down the R&D order, as of late, they've actually been more competitive than they ever have been so far this season. Doesn't make any sense, really, and kind of shows once again the R&D chart at the very beginning of these episodes it very much has to be taken with a pinch of salt as we get on through the seasons in career mode. But there you go, up ahead, Verstappen now goes to move round the outside of Leclerc. The 2 maybe future world champions in F1 are having a great ding-dong battle here. Renault v Ferrari, and the Renault has got it up into P2, I think that is. Yes, it is. But Leclerc will come back. That Ferrari car we know is good in a straight line, but Hulkenberg equally so. And look at this mega stuff there. 3 wide, Leclerc, Hulkenberg, and Verstappen there. Hulkenberg down the inside trying to make the double pass work out. Verstappen's having none of it though. Gets the elbows out, and they both, all of them, slowed each other down so much that I actually almost pushed Verstappen through the exit of turn 2 there. And actually, if it wasn't for him, I probably would have got a great enough exit to actually overtake Hulkenberg outright there. So I got a little bit peeved off at Verstappen there, to be honest. And so now can we send one to the inside of the Dutchman? It's going to be very fine margins. Leclerc and Hulkenberg go side by side. Verstappen cuts across me, but we get the switch back on him to the right-hand side. And instead, we're going to actually try and make that move stick. And we're going to be very harsh on him, just like he was on that previous chicane. And we're going to squeeze him out on the next right-hander, go a little bit wide on purpose, and just bump him off. And Weber will get that place then as well. And so we're up into P4. Leclerc chases after P2, that is, of Hulkenberg then, doing a stonking job in that Racing Point car. Meanwhile, Weber tries to get me into Ascari. We're going to go defensive there and do enough as Leclerc has a little look to the inside. They slow each other up, and so those two are side by side. So hopefully those two can scrap away enough where I can catch up and get into P2 and then use that clean air to chase after Sebastian Vettel. But Leclerc down the inside of Parabolica. But look at behind, it's 3 wide. Verstappen, Weber, and I think that's Hamilton, I want to say. But the 2 Mercs scrapping the 2 Renaults. Absolutely great scenes there. And Raikkonen, our teammate, haven't seen too much of him so far, but he's getting involved. It's nearly 4 wide down the main straight. It's now 2 abreast between the 2 Mercedes cars. Raikkonen's gone and overtaken the 2 Renaults and now tries to overtake both Mercedes cars. And behind them are the 2 Williams and McLarens, only in the F1 game. Do you get how many cars is that? That's like 8 cars battling side by side in the span of like 2 seconds there on track. Absolutely amazing stuff. Raikkonen has actually gone and overtaken 3 of those cars, and he goes for the 4th on the Mercedes car of Hamilton. I think that is, yes it is, and here he goes down the inside. He might have that. Hamilton a little bit slow on the exit. Raikkonen with the elbows out, and he's got it. Raikkonen up into P5. He's been a little bit slow this season so far, but showing some great pace there on lap 2 onto lap 3 there to get both Mercedes and both Renaults, doing a great job. So can he try and now pull away and maybe try and join me in this fight of trying to attack Leclerc and Hulkenberg, because these 2 still go scrapping away. Leclerc down the inside, but they're side by side through the entire Ascari section. That's going to really slow them down, and so we've got a great exit, and we could maybe try and make a move on Leclerc. Yellow flags behind it for some reason, but we go through down the inside, and Hamilton is out of the Italian Grand Prix. He's out. DNF shown there on the heads-up display, but we're meanwhile sending one down the inside of Charles Leclerc in the Ferrari. Can we get up into P3? But absolutely amazing scenes there. News for us. Hamilton, our championship rival, out of the Italian Grand Prix. We're up into P3. It was to finish like this, we'll get 15 points outright and be well and truly under 30 points to him in the championship standings. Amazing stuff. But we've got a Racing Point car ahead of us from Hulkenberg in P2. Surely we should have the pace to overtake him. I don't actually know what on earth Hulkenberg's been doing. I don't know what he's eating this morning for breakfast, but he's on something because he's so quick at the moment there, and his teammates nowhere to be seen. But we go for the move, duck to the left-hand side after faking it to the right, and now we're going to try and go in the the outside for the second part of the chicane, but Hulkenberg squeezes us to the left, and we lose some traction with, I think, a tyre dipped into the gravel, and Leclerc sends one to the inside as we go very wide with some understeer, and just surprisingly gets me outright there for P3 back again. So that was a little bit shocking, but for some reason the dirty just really kicked in quite a lot on that one particular corner, and so he's able to send it. But nevertheless, we'll continue chasing on. But let's look at a replay then and see what happened. Hamilton, listen to the revs. They just dropped there, you can see, and it's going to be an engine failure for Lewis Hamilton. His engine goes up in smokes, and so that is just not what you want if you're in a championship fight, but it's happened. And like I said a few episodes ago, at some point I was hoping that, it happens in a season. Some things go wrong eventually in a season, usually. And so finally something's happened to Hamilton, and the consistency has stopped for him, and he's out of this GP. It was a P10 at the German Grand Prix, was it? I can't even remember now. No, P10 at the Hungarian Grand Prix with the issue. Then obviously he got some points back at the Belgian Grand Prix, but now this DNF is massive for us, because if we can get a podium, P3 minimum, that's 15 points, maybe even 18 and get P2, mega stuff. But here we go now, closing up on Leclerc, who also goes for a move on Hulkenberg, and so we have to lift off there as we nearly have our front wing chopped off. Warning for a collision. I'm not surprised, because that was a very high speed bit of contact there. Love tap on Leclerc's gearbox there as he pulled off on the left very late and caught me by surprise. I thought he was going to go to the right of Hulkenberg, so I thought we were going to make it 3 abreast. Not to be. Instead, we're around the outside on the left of both Leclerc and Hulkenberg. It's a late break zone for us. We have to make that move stick. We do so, and we're up into P2. And if you listen carefully enough, actually, with that move on Leclerc, you might have heard also our team radio said that Vettel has some sort of mechanical issue right now, and he's going to be slow. So Vettel out in the lead this Grand Prix, a few seconds on us, but he's going to be very slow now with some sort of issue. Might be rectified later, but for now it's slowing him down quite a fair bit as we move on only 2 laps later, and we've already caught up to the German. We kind of pulled Hulkenberg and Leclerc with us though, that entire train sort of following us, but nevertheless we close up to the man in the lead. We have to lift off a little bit though, he's so slow to Ascari, but I didn't want to kind of do anything rash there. It's early days in this Grand Prix, so we're just going to try and overtake him in a straight line right now on the exit there towards Parabolica. Nice and easy, high standard mixture. We don't even need DRS, he's just that slow with the issue he's got, and so we're up into P1 of the Italian Grand Prix in the Alfa Romeo Racing car. So could this be it? Could this be the moment we try and settle down, control this race, and try and establish Alfa Romeo as the lead Italian team at the Italian Grand Prix? Let's see. Like I said, early days, 17 laps to go. And I'm betting right now Sebastian Vettel hopes that the Grand Prix ends sooner rather than later if his issues aren't rectified, because Leclerc now goes for the move on the outside. The 2 Ferraris into turn 1, but they surely will swap. Leclerc will have the better pace there, and he'll be up into 2nd place in no time. And Hulkenberg might even get back up into 3rd place as well, with Vettel still slow. And I'm still actually baffled how this Racing Point car is doing it. But here we go, further back behind then, Raikkonen having to do some defensive work though on the Renault now of Verstappen, who's dispatched of at least one Mercedes car. There's the other still in the fight of, I think that's Hamilton, I'm pretty sure. But Verstappen down the inside has to slot in ahead of the Merc. But Raikkonen maintains that P5 for now, so doing a great job. Hopefully he can try and hold that through for a top 5 finish at least. That would be really great for us to both get some good points, especially if the 2 Mercs are lower back behind us. That'll be the first time we can really gain some good points on them in the constructors. But we move then on to lap 11, at the end of it, into the pit stops for our one and only pit stop of the afternoon then, onto medium tyres. A few people continue on. Hulkenberg comes in with us, and obviously this will be just a hopefully nice and calm one. No kind of funny business in terms of traffic here for us. Good pit stop, and nope, not held up at all. So nice and easy. The undercut, I think I remember from last season, the undercut was quite good here actually at Monza. Has historically been on the F1 games and in real life as well. It can be a very good undercut with the straight line speed you get around here in Monza in clean air. But to say that, we have a lack of clean air right now with Gasly coming out just ahead of us here on the soft tyres. But I also want to say, how far have Red Bull fallen this season? They started off maybe as the 2nd best team on the grid, and now they're in the bottom 2 with their fellow sister team Toro Rosso. Absolutely crazy scenes there. Someone needs to come and rectify that issue for them with them and Honda, because something's gone badly wrong for them and Toro Rosso. But we move on to lap 12, on to lap 13 I should say, as we move across the line for a new lap there. Got held up by Gasly somewhat, but it won't matter. We're up into P3. Leclerc comes out behind Hulkenberg, so Hulkenberg has gone undercut and is up into a net P2, because remember the cars ahead of us, Magnussen and Albon, they'll be pitting soon enough, so that is a net P2 position for Hulkenberg, so he's done a great job there. Having said that though, that's also better news for us as well for having Hulkenberg in P2, because I think I'd rather be able to keep a Racing Point car car behind than a Ferrari. Despite the Ferraris not having maybe outright pace, they still are very good in a straight line, and clearly right now they're pretty damn good at the Italian GP as they're right now P3 and 4. Vettel down the inside of Leclerc. Maybe Vettel solved his mechanical issues because he's trying to get that P3 back from his teammate Leclerc. Then it's P5 is Bottas. Then you've got Verstappen, and Raikkonen is just ahead of Lucas Weber. So Raikkonen's lost out in the pit stop battles. And actually, I just remember now, I actually mentioned Hamilton earlier behind Verstappen there. My bad, that was Bottas, obviously, is Hamilton's outright out this Grand Prix. But a very awkward camera angle. Can't really tell what's going on there, but it looks like, yeah, Vettel's down the inside of Leclerc, and he's up into P3. So the German has got his car back in working condition, and he's now back in the podium contention and might be able to chase after Hülkenberg. You never know. Leclerc P4, then, like I said, Bottas, then Verstappen, then Raikkonen, then Lucas Weber. But let's hope for our sake, for the team's sake, that maybe Raikkonen can try and close back up to Verstappen and Bottas and re-overtake them and get that position back he lost in the pit stop phases. Meanwhile, Verstappen looking a little bit eager to overtake Bottas. But as we move on then through this stint, nothing much happening for me at this stage of the Grand Prix, but things are happening for Raikkonen. Down the inside of Verstappen he goes. The Dutchman locks up, but he gets a great mid-corner there through Ascari section, and Raikkonen is back down the order. But will he have enough momentum maybe into Parabolica to make a move? Let's see. He's gaining. He's going to go for it. Pulls out to the inside. Verstappen leaves him a little bit of room, but not too much there, and his front wing is scarily close to that right rear tyre there. Just watch out, Kimi. Just watch out. But here he goes now. Again, on the right-hand side, DRS activated, and this time he's going to power past the Renault, and Verstappen is going to have to settle down for what is, I think that's P7 now in the Grand Prix, as Raikkonen is in P6 and can now chase after P5 for Valtteri Bottas. But he might have other ideas, the Finn, because he goes down the inside of Leclerc to try and get up into P4. Vettel not really getting away in P3, so the two Ferraris definitely are under pressure, having their podium lost and taken away from them. I'm hoping Raikkonen here in the background can maybe do some silent great work and just try and slip in here and maybe have a chance at the podium, because he is pretty damn close to that P3. And there he goes. He overtakes Leclerc at least and gets up into P5. Bottas will now get enough of a slipstream to make a move on Vettel. Vettel has to go defensive into turn 1. Will the Finn get it to the inside of turn 2? And he's going to push him out, but not quite, as we move on to the next lap straight away there very rapidly. And it's going to be 3 wide, and Raikkonen now is going to go on the left-hand side and make a double pass on Vettel and Bottas there. Can he finish it off though? Because Bottas is good into the first 2 turns. It's a drag race then off the exit as we go through the next right-hander curve. Raikkonen slots in to get the slipstream back, and now can he move it on the left-hand side? No, Bottas goes very defensive there, so Raikkonen has to pull on the right-hand side instead. But will he get this done? We wait and wait for that camera shot to come in, and there he goes down the inside. Yes, he's done it! Raikkonen up into P3 of the Grand Prix. Fantastic stuff. It's a double podium right now for Alfa Romeo Racing, and Raikkonen's not done there because he catches up to Hülkenberg as we move on about 5 laps later towards the last 3-4 laps of this Grand Prix this is now, and Raikkonen has just gone and overtaken Hülkenberg for P2 in the Italian Grand Prix. It's a 1-2 for Alfa Romeo Racing. Absolutely wonderful stuff there. Bottas up into P3 now. Hülkenberg's being swamped by the Ferrari now of Vettel. Raikkonen goes on, has to go defensive though on Bottas, and Bottas goes to the inside there, just finds enough room to wiggle through and get that P2 off him. Come on, Kimi, you've got to get that place back. You've got to make this 1-2 work. This will be the first 1-2 ever of Alfa Romeo in this career mode. It'd be absolutely amazing to do it at the Italian Grand Prix as well. That'd be a double whammy here, but Bottas has got that back. But can Kimi pull it through for a second time and go on the outside to the inside of the chicane? Let's see. Awkward camera angle here. Around the outside he goes, but I think he might just have that. I can't quite tell because this is the worst camera angle in the known universe, but he's got it. No, he's got it. He's got back up into P2, and he's actually got a little bit of a gap there off that exit, so that's great stuff. So now it's just a question, can he actually push through and keep this position now? I'm hoping the answer might just be yes, because there's a mega fight now going on between the two Ferraris, the Merc and the Racing Point car, and even the Toro Rosso might get involved in the Renault Verstappen here, as the two Ferraris are either side of Bottas there. Verstappen has a little look in to try and make it 4 wide nearly. Hulkenberg now, though, is up into P3. The Racing Point car, again, is just slapping these guys and embarrassing the top teams, and he's up into P3. The two Ferraris neck and neck on the exit there for P4. 4 and 5. Verstappen now has got Bottas, and Bottas are now being pressurised by Toro Rosso. So the Mercedes car has really fell away at the very end of this Grand Prix. Maybe some tyre wear, as now you can see. I think that's Leclerc has got ahead of Vettel. But there you go. Hulkenberg P3. Raikkonen's got the gap to Hulkenberg, and Hulkenberg's got the gap to the guys behind. So I think that hopefully should be Raikkonen booked in for P2 of this Grand Prix. And actually, at the moment, as it stands, Raikkonen has got the fast lap of the Grand Prix. This man has been rapid this race, and it's no surprise really how he's got into P2 there with the pace there. But I'm hoping to maybe steal that fast lap of the Grand Prix away from him. I've been pushing hard on lap 26. Bit of a snap of oversteer though on the exit, so it means I don't get it on that lap, but I do improve. That's my personal best lap time. So here we go. Lowest fuel the entire Grand Prix. Overtake mode, rich mix. Pushing hard as much as I can on the last lap to try and get the fast lap of the GP. Meanwhile, though, on the last lap of the Grand Prix, speaking about that, Raikkonen is under pressure a little bit from Hulkenberg somewhat here. On lap 27, Hulkenberg right up the chuff with DRS there into Ascari. One last straight to go, and then Parabolica. Can Raikkonen hopefully pull this through? I'm hoping so. But back to our POV. Purple in the first sector, green in the second. I think we should be able to hang this through for the fast lap of the Grand Prix and the last lap of the Grand Prix. And it's going to be the win at the Italian GP at Monza, and it's going to be a 1-2 for Alfa Romeo Racing. Absolutely amazing. Absolute scenes here. We are the #1 Italian team.
So Alfa Romeo have won it, and what a great race it was. Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
Well, this was a real team victory. They put together a solid strategy today that appeared well suited to the conditions out on track. The driver did everything that was expected of them in the moment to really execute the team's plan to perfection, a shining example of how F1 really is a team sport.
Alfa Romeo have been winning fans the world over with their brilliant driving, showing that they're a force to be reckoned with out there on the track. They'll certainly be building on that fan base after today's excellent result.
So it's a dream Italian GP for Alfa Romeo. Absolutely crazy stuff. 1-2. What did I say? Great omen Q1 of being 1 and 2, and we go and get 1-2 in the race. And Hamilton with the DNF, and with our 26 points, we are thoroughly under 30 points now. We're within 11 points now of Hamilton of the championship lead. This title fight officially is now on. Officially now for the rest of the season. It's game time. It's crunch time now. We can do this. I'm finally, for the first time, fully confident we can take the fight to Hamilton, especially with Renault being so good as of late. You've got the likes of randomly Racing Point coming up. Ferrari still performing well despite being lower in the R&D chart. I think we've got all the opportunity now to take the fight for him. And even the constructors, if we get maybe a few more double podiums, or Raikkonen wants to pick up the pace a little bit more and we're consistent enough, we could even catch up to Merck and the constructors if they're slow enough, because obviously they have lost a bit of pace in the last few races. They're technically P5 on the road on the R&D chart, so never say never. But absolutely amazing race. 400 extra points for a clean race with the contract objective, so can't complain. Pretty perfect weekend for us actually there. So we're going to go ahead and purchase another brakes update on the chassis side of things, and then I was debating what to do. Wasn't sure. We don't have too many points to play around with, but I thought we'll go ahead and purchase another minor weight redistribution upgrade. I honestly don't ever know how much those upgrades do, because you just think about what even in the description, weight redistribution, you just don't really see how that's going to benefit you in some kind of way. It's not really tangible in terms of, you can feel when your chassis is lighter, you can feel when the brakes are better, but you can't really feel if the weight has been shifted better in your car. You can't really tell that fully, but I'm just going to trust the R&D and hope that it can improve our car somewhat, especially because there's an ultimate upgrade actually on that train on the R&D tree. But that will just mean 2 upgrades for us at the next Grand Prix, so a bit of a double whammy, so that'll be good for us at the Singapore GP. But guys, that has been an absolutely fabulous Italian Grand Prix for myself, the team, for the championship. It's been blown wide open. Crazy stuff. If you did enjoy it, be sure to smash that button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you are on your own tier, you can subscribe for weekly Formula content. I've been Aarava. Have a good day. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.